You think I only have a moustache, don't you? Beard! What up, you fluffy bastards? My name is Liquid Blitz, and first of all, I just want to apologise for the delay in bringing this video. It's been several days since I last uploaded, and basically I've had a load of things going on IRL, but I'm trying to get back into it hardcore. Today we're looking at the fifth and final weapon from the French DLC, the Lebel Model. I believe it's pronounced Lebel. Lebel! Back to Italian again, Lebel! The Lebel Model 1886. I'm just going to call it Lebel, because it sounds easy. It's easier to say, damn it. Lebel! First of all, we're going to take a look at a basic weapon history for this rifle, followed by a sweet spot comparison of all scout rifles so we can place the Lebel on that list and see what its optimum distance is. And if you don't know what sweet spot means or what a sweet spot is, then stick around for that section, or skip straight to it. After that, we're going to go into the tried and tested, detailed stats comparison against other popular scout rifles. And then finally, we're going to finish up with a summary of pros and cons and averages for this weapon. If you don't want to watch everything in this video, as usual, use the annotations on screen or the timestamps. That's my cat! That's my cat's ear! Cat! 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 She sat right in front of me. Say hello! Hello, cat! Hello! Hello, cat! Cat! As I was saying, as my cat rudely interrupted me, if you don't want to watch everything in this video, use the annotations on screen or timestamps in the description, or I think I'll put the timestamps in the top pinned comment as well, just if you want to skip to a certain section. Anyway, let's do this! Let's kick off with the weapon history. The Lebel Model 1886, otherwise known as the Lebel Model 1886. It was designed in, surprise surprise, 1886, and it was in service from 1887 all the way to 1940. This thing had a long-ass life. It revolutionised infantry weaponry by being the very first rifle that fired a smokeless cartridge, making it more accurate and not giving you away with a huge poof of smoke. It was designed by a team led by General Tramond. General Tramond! This team of engineers also included Paul, and I'm never even going to try and pronounce this correctly, Paul Viellielliellielli, who designed the smokeless cartridge itself, and of course Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Lebel, who invented the ammunition. The next piece of history worthy of mention is the fact that it was eventually it was designated the Lebel rifle officially, against Nicholas Lebel's wishes. He didn't want it to be called the Lebel rifle. Apparently, despite the fact it was sort of revolutionary in its own way, it was one of the longest and heaviest rifles, making it sort of less suitable for trench warfare. That being said, it did have a reputation for high accuracy and really good reliability. Anyway, some negatives of the real rifle itself were that it had a very slow reload compared to other rifles of the same period. And its sights, while accurate, are low down. That's the low down! So the sights weren't easy to align with. And finally, there was no sort of wooden handguard on the top of the barrel, which led to you burning your hands after prolonged use. So overall, while this rifle was revolutionary, it was quickly outshined by all of its competitors, which sort of made good on all the negative aspects of this rifle. Right, that's it for the weapon history anyway. Let's move on to the sweet spot discussion about all the scout rifles. Firstly, let's explain what a sweet spot is for the people who don't know. I've gone into detail on sweet spots in the past, so I'm going to try and keep this snappy. The sweet spot mechanic refers to the maximum damage range for scout weapons. In case you didn't know, most weapons in the game do their maximum damage at point-blank range, and then the damage falls over a certain distance down to the minimum damage. Scout weapons are different. They start at their minimum damage, which I've always found odd, and then they climb up to their maximum damage for a certain distance before falling back down to the minimum again. This range, this distance where it does its maximum damage, is called the sweet spot. It's called this because the max damage of most scout weapons is 100, which will do a one-shot kill with a shot to the chest, the upper body, not just the head. That's why that distance is a sweet spot, because you've got all of this area to get a one-shot kill. Sweet spot. To better show what the hell I'm talking about, and just for your general information, here on screen are the body part damage multipliers for scout weapons. So shots to the head do 1.8 times normal damage. Shots to the upper body, that's basically the chest, do 1 times normal damage. Shots to the lower body and upper arms do 0.9 times normal damage. And hits to the legs and forearms do 0.75 times normal damage. Keep in mind that these values you see now are slightly different from all the other weapons in the game. Scout weapons are unique in and of themselves. It's also important to let you know that the Gouveia M95 and the Russian 1895 Trench have different multipliers. They are both extra doubly unique. Anyway, as you can see, the upper body multiplier is 1 times, so at the scout weapon's sweet spot distance, a shot to the chest will do 1 times 100 damage. So exactly 100 damage, which is a kill. Sweet. Anyway, without further ado, let's list every scout weapon in order of sweet spot distance, starting with the closest range. First of all, we have the SMLE Mark III, which has a sweet spot distance of 40 to 75 meters. Then we have the Martini Henry, which does 100 damage or higher, I'll get to that in a second, but it does 100 damage or more between 42 meters and 80 meters. Then we have the weapon in question, the Lebel Model 1886, which has a sweet spot of 50 to 87.5 meters. Then Russian 1895, 60 to 100, Gevea 98 with 80 to 125 meters, and then finally the M1903 with 100 to 150 meters. That's the longest range weapon. Now, as you can see, there's a few anomalies here. Firstly, the Gevea M95, all variants, and the Russian 1895 Trench, they don't have a sweet spot because their damage drop-off is the same pattern as most other weapons, in that they do their maximum damage at point-blank range and then fall down to their minimum damage. And their highest damage isn't 100 to start with. The Gevea M95 does 90 damage to 20 meters and then it falls, and the Russian 1895 Trench does 79 meters to 18 meters, I think it is, then that falls as well. By the way, that does mean the Gevea M95 does the highest damage and DPS at close range, which not a lot of people realise. It actually has the same damage as the Martini Henry, but the M95 obviously shoots faster, so it does more damage per second. Anyway, as you can see, the Lebel Model 1886 is definitely a closer range rifle with a sweet spot of 50 to 87.5 meters. It's actually the lowest range sweet spot for a weapon that has a sniper variant, until the Martini Henry Sniper drops very soon. And since infantry variants only have iron sights, the closer the range, the closer the sweet spot, the better, really. Between 50 meters and 87.5 meters is a one-hit kill to the chest and head, and 50 meters isn't actually that far. So that's it for sweet spots. I mean, all those ranges you can see there, those are the ranges you should be using each of those weapons, but really, that's what it comes down to, basically. And all we can tell so far, without looking at any other stats, is that the Lebel Model 1886 is a pretty close-range sniper rifle. Close for sniper rifles, anyway. Right, that's it for sweet spot discussion. Let's move on to the tried and tested stats comparison. Now, since the Gevea M95, the Martini Henry, and the Russian 1895 Trench work in different ways, I'm going to compare it to the remaining 4 rifles. Anyway, those are the SMLE Mark III Marksman, the M1903 Sniper, the Russian 1895 Sniper, the Gevea 98 Sniper, and the Lebel Model 1886 Sniper. I will add that the Lebel Sniper and Lebel Infantry have the exact same stats, which is actually unique. Usually the infantry variants have a better recoil and spread decrease than the sniper variants, but the Lebel Infantry doesn't. So I'm going to compare it to all the sniper variants of each weapon, except the SMLE Mark III, which doesn't have a sniper, so the longest range version of that is the Marksman. The first stat, as always, is damage, but for scout rifles it's very easy and I can just pretty much breeze past it. All regular scout rifles do 80 damage minimum and 100 damage maximum in their sweet spot range, which I've already discussed. The only thing to note is that the Lebel Model 1886 has the shortest sweet spot range of any sniper variant, and it's honestly not that much further than the SMLE Mark III and Martini Henry with a sweet spot of 50 to 87.5 meters. So when you're using this weapon, you should actively be trying to stay away that far, that much distance away from your enemies. For example, if your enemies are sort of capping a flag or taking a base or whatever, then you should use that objective to see how far away you are. And if you're further than 87 meters or closer than 50 meters, you should try to adjust your distance accordingly. Utilizing the sweet spot is the key to getting easy kills with any scout weapon. Anyway, next we have a very important stat, which is why I've included it towards the top of the list, muzzle velocity. More important for sniper rifles than any other type of weapon. They're all measured in meters per second, and in order they are 740, 820, 820, very high 880 for the Gevea 98, that's fast as hell. And then the Lebel Model 1886 is 720. 720 is pretty low, and that's pretty bad for a sniper rifle, and it is noticeable. Basically, the lower the velocity, number one, the longer it takes for the bullet to reach a target. So if they're sort of moving from like left to right, for example, you have to lead the target even further than you would with any other weapon. And 2, it means that the bullet obviously drops faster. It is noticeably inaccurate compared to other sniper rifles. I felt it myself. So that is not sweet. Not sweet. Sour! Now the next stat isn't particularly that important, but I might as well mention it. Drag coefficient, otherwise known as ballistic coefficient. This is where it gets really technical and complicated and just far beyond me. But basically, the better the coefficient, the less the bullet is impacted by sort of air resistance, etc. So it flies through the air easier. Now, all the scout rifles have the exact same coefficient except the Springfield M1903, which specifically has a better value than all the others. So if you just randomly ever thought, the M1903 seems strangely accurate at longer ranges, you were right to think that, because it is. Bit of trivia for you, the sniper Jackson in Saving Private Ryan uses an M1903 sniper. But yeah, the Lebel 1886 has the same standard coefficient as all the rest. Now the next stat is fire rate, and this is very similar for all of them, but considering with sniping, half the time you will hit an enemy and not kill them, so you need to follow up with a quick, accurate second shot. So to be honest, the faster the fire rate, the more likely you will land that second shot before they get behind cover. These are measured in RPM, revolutions per minute, and I'm not quite sure what that means. But in order, they are 52, 53, 56, 50, and then 56. So the Lebel has a strong 56 RPM. Joint fastest out of all these weapons, so that can only be a good thing. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have mag size. Another stat which isn't sort of vitally important, but it's not irrelevant and unimportant either. I mean, quite simply, the more ammo you have, the longer you can take pot shots without ducking behind cover and reloading. In order, first of all, obviously, the SMLE Mark III, it doesn't have a sniper variant, so naturally it has more ammo. It has a mag size of 10, which is great for close-range fighting. And then the next three weapons all have 5, which is standard for sniper rifles. The Lebel Model 1886, however, has a very sweet 8 rounds. The slightly faster fire rate, the larger mag size, and the closer range sweet spots so far are definitely sort of indicating, it's looking like this rifle is definitely to be used sort of sub 100 meters. It's definitely a close range sniper rifle. Now, the next few stats are all to do with reload speed. Now, since all these rifles reload one round at a time, there isn't one single stat for reload speed. There are actually several stats. There's a delay before reloading, a delay after reloading, and there's an extra delay added onto the very first bullet that you reload. And then each bullet has a standard time for reloading. It goes into far more detail than you need to know, so I'm not going to go through each number. You can see them for yourself. It is worth mentioning that the Lebel Model 1886 has a really awful post-reload delay of 2.53 seconds, which I still can't believe. That is shit! It also has the longest bridge delay, which is the extra delay before reloading your first round. That being said, it does have the fastest single bullet reload time and pre-reload delay, so... It seems like in total it reloads pretty quickly, sort of average, but then it's ruined by an awful delay at the end of the reload. So you just imagine that there's an enemy about to run around the corner, you know he's coming, you need to reload, so you quickly pack a few bullets and you think, okay, thank God, I've got enough bullets in there to kill this guy. You see the enemy, but then there's like a 2.5 second delay. You're dead. Not sweet. This is not sweet. Sour again! Extra sour! Keep in mind, obviously, the reload is longer total because it has to reload 8 rounds, not 5. But there's something odd, there's something strange to do with the mechanism of this rifle. The reload is odd, and I hope someone can actually explain this to me. If you shoot the gun empty, it reloads all 8 rounds in a row and then chambers one of those rounds ready to fire, and then it's done. But if you reload after only like a couple of rounds, let's say you just shoot 1 round and then reload, it springs out the round in the chamber and actually reloads 2 more rounds. I guess that's just how the mechanism works, but it means reloading prematurely, it takes longer because you actually have to reload an extra round than if you shoot the gun empty. Do you see what I mean? Very confusing. Anyway, that's enough about reloading or my brain will fry. Now, there is also something else that's strange. Where I get all my stats, Synthic.com, that's where I get all my stats from, there is officially a strip reload time and a strip clip size for all weapons, but for this weapon as well. Now, to the best of my knowledge, a strip clip is when you have a few rounds all together in a kind of magazine, and you slot that into the slot for the round, and it automatically strips each round from it as you fire a shot, filling the chamber with another round. But this weapon doesn't use a strip clip. As far as I'm aware, none of the scout rifles do. So I don't understand how they can have a strip reload time and a strip size stat. If anyone can explain that to me, that would be great. Suffice it to say, the Lebel apparently has the largest strip clip size and the fastest strip reload time, whatever that means. So if that means something to you, if you understand what that means, then good. That's a positive in favour of the Lebel 1886. But fuck if I know what that means. Anyway, that's it for the stats comparison. Obviously, I've missed off a few stats that I've included in previous videos because either the stats are exactly the same or they're so close that there's practically no difference between them. That's the only reason I will have left a stat off. So let's move on to the summary. Now, as usual, I'll split this into pros, cons, and sort of off-screen averages. It's actually quite hard to list pros and cons for this weapon, since they're all just as good but at different ranges. Does that make sense? But we shall try! So the first pro, it has a fast fire rate, relatively speaking. It's faster than all the other weapons, so that's a plus. That has to be a plus. And the next pro, it is genuinely a good pro, this one. It has a large mag size of 8 compared to the other weapons 5, except the SMLE Mark III, which has 10, but that's not a sniper variant as such. I say it's large mag size because there isn't actually a magazine when you think about it. You load each round manually. So what would you say? It has a large penis? No, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that. Well, I would. But for the Lebel Model 1886, I think you would say it has a large... I suppose actually maybe you would say mag size. I suppose one could argue the magazine was internal, or maybe the gun itself can be thought of as a magazine. I don't know, maybe. What the fuck am I talking about, man? The next pros are the fact that it has the shortest pre-reload delay and fastest single bullet reload, but these aren't really pros because of the first two cons. It has the longest post-reload delay, by far, an awful delay at the end, and it has the longest first bullet reload delay. The first bullet you reload has an extra delay on it, and the Lebel's is the worst. Anyway, the next con that's actually in fact, possibly the only con that's worth mentioning, is the low muzzle velocity. It's the lowest out of all the rifles that have a sniper variant. The Lebel's velocity is 720, which is actually pretty bad for sniping, I've got to say. So that's all there is to it. My official Liquid Blitz conclusion is that this sniper rifle is definitely a closer range sniper rifle than most of the others. At least it's the closest sniper variant weapon with a close 50 to 87.5 meter sweet spot range, where it does one-shot kills to the chest and head. And other than the closer nature of the weapon, it's pretty standard across the board, I've got to say. But it does have a larger mag size than normal, so that's a good positive. But it does have an accordingly longer reload, obviously, because it has more ammo to reload. What else? Oh yeah, its low velocity means it's one of the worst for long-range shooting. So you really do need to maximise the sweet spot sort of advantage and aim to constantly be between 50 and 87.5 metres if you can help it. So in my opinion, to be honest, every other rifle is better for longer ranges, and the Gevea M95, SMLE Mark III and the Martini Henry are all better for closer ranges. I guess the best thing to be said about the Lebel Model 1886 is that it makes a pretty strong medium-range sniper rifle, with a good mag size and a decent rate of fire, which lets you generally take more pot shots than the other weapons. From what people have told me, some people like this weapon, some people love this weapon, and other people really hate this weapon, just like all of the other French DLC weapons. In reality, looking at the stats and my experience with it so far, I've played non-stop with it for 2 days solidly. It's been very annoying. But in reality, it's pretty average across the board. A good point I will make, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with this, it's not all about stats and facts, is it? It's not all about stats and facts, man. It's about feel and fun. This rifle feels and sounds pretty powerful, like most of the other French weapons, to be honest. And I like that. I'm sure you do as well. Nothing is better than a powerful sounding and a powerful feeling weapon. That's my feeling anyway. I've got generally mixed feelings about this weapon, so I want to know how you feel down in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it, like this video if you didn't like it, and join me in my next video. This video is the last of the DLC weapons, for now, for the first DLC anyway. The next video will probably be another superclass video. It's been a while and it's high time I made another one. And wouldn't it just be fitting, to be honest, if I use one of the new French weapons? So stay tuned for that. Sweet!